If someone had told me the unmute button would betray me, I'd have stapled my own mouth shut. Ash knew she was doomed the instant her screen hiccuped and the tiny red light on her mic stared back, still on, still transmitting, still selling her out to the whole goddamn call. Her stomach plunged like an elevator with its cables cut. There were 25 people in that virtual meeting, 25 professionals with varying power, interest, and attention spans. But none of them mattered now. Only one did. Veronica Hale, CL, untouchable, immaculate, a woman hewn from obsidian and Armani, and Ash had just called her an idiot aloud in front of everyone. Worse, she tacked on, with a long, defeated sigh. But I'll admit she's pretty as hell. She didn't realize the mic was live until her own words boomeranged through her laptop speakers. As if the universe wanted to broadcast her funeral in stereo. Then silence, long, cold, unbearably quiet. Ash stared at the screen, every drop of blood evaporating from her face. Her coworker Logan's profile icon had frozen in what looked suspiciously like the emoji for oh no. Someone unmuted, then muted again. And in the center of it all, at the top of the screen, Veronica Hale stared directly into the camera. Come still. Sharp as a guillotine. Her expression didn't change. Not at first. Not even a twitch. Then the smallest curve at the corner of her mouth. Not amusement. Not quite. Something more dangerous. Ash tried to close her laptop. Tried to breathe. Tried to vanish into the floor. None of it worked. Then Veronica finally spoke. Ashlyn Moreno, she said, her voice smooth. Hey, if you're enjoying this story, go ahead and drop a like to help us grow even more. And let me know in the comments on a scale from 0 to 10, what score would you give this story so far? Your feedback makes all the difference. Clipped and terrifyingly low. My office now. Then the meeting ended just like that. Ash sat frozen in her chair, eyes wide, laptop screen dark. She had just called her boss, the CEO of a multinational company, both stupid and attractive. On a recorded meeting with HR in attendance in front of every executive in the department. She was going to die or worse, she was going to get fired. And honestly, maybe that would be mercy. The elevator ride to the top floor had never felt so long. Ash had ridden it plenty of times before, usually with a coffee in one hand and her sketch pad in the other, headphones in, hoodie up, avoiding eye contact with upper management. But this time, her palms were sweating, her heart pounding against her ribs like it wanted to escape. When the doors opened, the executive floor was deadly quiet. Too clean, too white, too expensive. She hated it up here. Everything smelled like filtered air and overpriced hand sanitizer. She walked down the hallway like she was approaching a guillotine, heels echoing too loudly on the marble. Veronica's assistant, a statuesque woman named Celine with eyes like lasers, gave her a tight smile and gestured to the office door. She's waiting. Of course she is. Ash pushed open the door. And there she was. Veronica stood by the floor-to-ceiling window, hands clasped behind her back, wearing a suit Ash was 90% sure cost more than her monthly rent. She turned slowly, the kind of slow that made you feel like prey. Her eyes locked on Ash, dark, unreadable, and sharp enough to slice open any excuse before it formed. Ash cleared her throat. Miss Hale, I stop, Veronica said. One word, absolute command. Ash's mouth snapped shut. Veronica crossed the room in a few long strides and leaned against her massive desk, arms folded. Do you make a habit of insulting your superiors in company meetings? No, Ash said, voice embarrassingly small. It was an accident. I didn't know my mic was still on. Veronica arched an eyebrow. Yes, clearly. But the fact that it was on isn't the problem, Miss Moreno. The fact that you meant it is. I didn't mean it like that. You call me an idiot. Only a little one. Ash tried. Veronica stared at her. Ash wanted to melt through the floor. Then impossibly, Veronica tilted her head. And pretty. Ash's ears burned. I mean that part wasn't untrue. Veronica walked slowly around the desk, not stalking, just moving like she had all the time in the world and knew Ash didn't. You realize, she said, stopping inches from her, that I could fire you right now. Ash looked up at her. She was taller in person. Or maybe it was the power. Maybe it was the way her voice curled around threats like velvet. Yes, Ash whispered. Then why aren't you apologizing harder? Because I meant what I said. Ash blinked. Did I just say that out loud? Veronica's eyes gleamed, not amused. Intrigued. Interesting. Ash scrambled to recover. Look, I know I messed up and I'm ready for whatever consequence you decide. I just wanted to be honest. Veronica didn't speak for a long moment. Then she stepped back, walked to her desk, and pressed a button on her intercom. Celine, clear my next hour. Yes, Miss Hale. She looked back at Ash. Sit. Ash slowly, wearily. We're going to talk, Veronica said, sitting across from her. Because I think we've both just discovered something far more interesting than a firing. Ash's heart slammed against her chest. We have. Veronica smiled. Apparently, I'm an idiot and pretty. She leaned forward, her voice low, unmistakably flirtatious now. And you? You're not nearly as invisible as you think you are. Ash didn't sleep the night after the incident. She lay flat on her bed, eyes locked on the ceiling, brain spinning like a slot machine rigged to show only the worst memories of the day. You're not nearly as invisible as you think you are. The words had echoed in her head for hours on a loop coded in that cold silky voice that Veronica Hale wielded like a scalpel. It didn't sound like a threat, but it wasn't a compliment either. And yet, there had been something else there, too. A spark. A beat too long between her words. That damn smile. What did it mean? She didn't know. All she knew was that every time she blinked, she saw the exact moment their eyes met. Veronica's expression calm, calculated, unreadable, while Ash sat there like a deer, caught in a high-end luxury spotlight. Now, 12 hours later, Ash stood in the office elevator, palms sweating, trying to breathe like a normal person. The moment the doors opened onto her floor, she nearly turned around and rode it right back down. But no, that would make her look even more guilty. She couldn't afford to be a coward today. She needed to prove she could move on, keep her head down, be boring. And then she saw her, Veronica, standing at the far end of the hallway in tailored charcoal gray, speaking with someone from finance. The CEO's profile was impeccable, angled jaw, dark hair pinned back, posture perfect. And then, like in slow motion, Veronica turned her head, their eyes locked. A second, maybe less. Then Veronica smiled. Not a polite smile. Something cooler, smoother, almost private. And then she looked away like nothing had happened, like Ash was just another face in the building. Ash practically sprinted to her desk. Logan was already messaging her on Slack before she could even sit down. You're alive. She typed back barely. He followed. Thought she'd fire you or vaporize you with her death glare. Ash responded, same. But she didn't. Logan sent a string of question marks. Then what did she say? Ash hesitated. Honestly, I don't know. I'm still confused. You think she's going to use it against you later? Logan asked. Ash replied. I think she's already doing it. She tried to focus on her work, but her mind wouldn't cooperate. Every task blurred. Every font she picked felt wrong. And then at exactly 11:13 a.m., her inbox chimed with an email that made her breath catch. From Veronica Hale, subject design input, Ashlyn, I'd like your eyes on the new ad concept before I sign off. Come by my office at 1:00 p.m. The initial panic was immediate, but then came the aftershock. The way her name looked in that email, the dash before the V, like a signature, personal, informal, intentional. It didn't feel like a task. It felt like a summons. At 12:59, Ash stood in front of the CEO's office, trying not to pass out. Celine, ever composed, simply gestured for her to go in. Veronica sat behind her massive glass desk, reviewing printed materials with surgical precision. Ms. Moreno, she said without looking up. Sit, Ash sat. Veronica tapped the concept sheet in front of her with a perfectly manicured nail. This is competent, clean, but it lacks urgency. There's no emotional pull. Ash cleared her throat. I can work with a copywriter, too. Not words. Veronica cut in. I wanted to provoke something. Visual tension. You understand tension, don't you? Ash blinked. I think so. Veronica finally looked up. Do you? Her voice was even, but her eyes burned like black ice. I've seen your portfolio, your freelance work. It's bold, raw. I don't want the sanitized version of you. I want the edge. You looked at my portfolio? Ash asked stunned. Of course I did, Veronica said. I make it my business to know who's worth paying attention to. Her gaze was steady, sharp. Especially the ones who call me an idiot and pretty in the same breath. Ash turned beet red. That was honest, Veronica said. And rare. People lie to me all day. It's dull. Ash shifted in her seat. The room suddenly felt smaller. I'm not trying to impress anyone. Good, Veronica said. Because you already did. There was a long silence between them, then thick with something that wasn't quite professional. Veronica removed her glasses. I want you to rework the concept. Give me something that feels dangerous. Ash nodded slowly. Dangerous? Can you handle that? I think so. Think carefully, Veronica said. Because if you give me something safe, I'll know you didn't listen. Ash stood, feeling like her legs had turned to jelly. I should get started then. Do Veronica said and Ashlyn? Ash paused. Yes. Veronica's smile was slight, almost imperceptible. You can call me Veronica. You've earned that much. Ash walked out of the office with her pulse hammering. Not from fear. From something far more dangerous. Ash didn't know what was worse. That Veronica had asked for her personally on the new project, or that no one else in the office seemed to think it was weird. By Wednesday, she was in Veronica's office for the third time in 48 hours, seated across from her at a table so polished she could see the reflection of her own nerves in it. She told herself this was normal work professionalism. It wasn't like Veronica was doing anything inappropriate. Not technically. The emails she sent were perfectly phrased. Her instructions were always clear, but it was the way she said things in person, the way her eyes lingered, the way her voice dropped when she said Ashlyn like it was a secret she wasn't supposed to know. Ash was losing her mind. This was the woman who ran the company. This was the woman who could fire her with a single word. But still, every time Veronica leaned in to look at a draft, every time her hand brushed the table inches from Ash's, something inside her sparked. Today was no different. Veronica hovered behind her while Ash flicked through design iterations on the tablet, silent, unreadable. The air felt so charged it was like gravity tilting towards something inevitable. That one, Veronica said, tapping the screen. Her voice was close, right at Ash's ear. You finally stopped playing it safe. You wanted dangerous, Ash muttered. And you listened, Veronica replied. She stepped back, circling to the far side of the table. Ash risked a look. Veronica wore a dark navy blouse, the top 2 buttons undone, just distracting enough to wipe Ash's next sentence clean from her brain. I want you to present this version to the directors on Friday, Veronica said. Me? Ash blinked. It's your work, but you usually, exactly. Which is why they'll pay attention when you speak instead. Ash's mouth went dry. That's a lot of pressure. I think you like pressure, Veronica said, studying her too closely. The right kind, anyway. Ash opened her mouth to argue, to dodge, to run, but the door behind them swung open. Celine stepped in with a folder, paused, and gave Ash a slow, deliberate once-over before handing the documents to Veronica. You have that call in 10, she said. Understood, Veronica replied. Celine left. Ash stood too fast. I should go. Veronica didn't stop her. Friday. 11 a.m. Don't be late. Ash nodded, bolted, and spent the next hour in the break room pretending her coffee needed infinite refills. Logan found her there, chewing a straw like it might be her last defense. Okay, he murmured, dropping his voice. What's going on? Nothing, Ash lied. We're working on a pitch. You and Hale. Logan snorted. You're either getting promoted or vaporized. Or both, Ash said. That night, she stayed late to rehearse. No one asked her to, but she refused to eat it in front of senior leadership. Also, maybe, she wanted to prove something to Veronica. At 8:47 p.m., mid-speech to a roomful of empty chairs, her phone buzzed. Unknown number, still at the office. Ash stared, pulse spiking. Another ping. If you're going to talk to yourself for an hour, you might as well do it with an audience. She didn't need to ask who it was. A minute later, Veronica slipped into the conference room, heels echoing softly, hair a touch undone like she'd raked a hand through it one time too many. Didn't mean to interrupt, she said smoothly, as if she hadn't just shocked Ash out of her skin. You're really committed to this pitch. I like being prepared, Ash said. Control freak. Maybe. Good. We need more of those. Veronica walked to the head of the table and Saturday, start from the top. What? Your presentation. I want to hear it now. Yes. Right now. I'm the harshest critic you'll get. Impress me and the rest will be easy. Ash swallowed hard, lifted her tablet, and began. Her voice shook at first, but the more she spoke, the more she settled into herself. She believed in the design. She believed in the message. And when she got to the final slide, she looked up and found Veronica watching her. Not like a CEO, not like a boss, but like something else entirely. You know, Veronica said, standing, her gaze steady. If you keep being this good, I won't be able to ignore you. Ash's voice cracked. I thought you already weren't ignoring me. Veronica walked toward her slowly. You're not as careful as you think. I'm not trying to be anything. Exactly. Veronica said. That's what makes you dangerous. You said you wanted danger, Ash whispered. I did, Veronica said. I still do. Then she stepped past her out the door, leaving Ash standing in the dim light of the conference room with her heart pounding loud enough to echo off glass. Friday arrived with the weight of expectation coiled tightly in Ash's chest like a spring about to snap. She'd barely slept, barely eaten, barely thought of anything other than the presentation she was about to give in front of directors, executives, and most terrifying of all, Veronica Hale. Who would be watching from the head of the table with that calm, unreadable expression that made Ash's mouth dry and her brain shut off? By 10:55 a.m., Ash stood outside the glass conference room doors, holding her tablet like a shield. Through the tinted glass, she could already see the directors settling in, coffee cups in hand, shoulders stiff with business day fatigue. Veronica hadn't arrived yet, which made Ash even more nervous. Where was she? Was she even going to come? What if this whole thing was some twisted test she'd never really intended to show up for? No. At exactly 10:59, Veronica appeared, walking toward the conference room with her usual effortless elegance, heels clicking in crisp rhythm, navy blue suit sharp enough to cut. Her hair was pinned back in a loose knot, and the line of her jaw was set like stone. She nodded at Ash as she passed, murmured, "You're ready," and pushed the door open. Ash's legs moved automatically, following her in. She stood at the far end of the table as the runes settled into silence. Veronica sat at the center of power, hands folded, eyes on Ash. "Whenever you're ready, Miss Moreno," she said. And just like that, Ash was on. She spoke. Her voice was steady. Her slides were clear. She made eye contact. She pointed out key design elements and strategic color choices. The room bobbed along in approval. A few directors even scribbled notes, but none of that registered, because the only gaze that mattered, the one she felt like heat on her skin, was Veronica's, intent, steady, unmoving. When it ended, the room murmured its praise, polite claps, astray, impressive. Ash didn't breathe until Veronica rose, circled the table at an unhurried pace, and stopped beside her. "Well done," she said, voice pitched for Ash alone. "You've just raised your own bar." Ash's pulse kicked. "Thank you. Join me after work. 8th floor, the tasting room." Ash blinked. "The what?" Veronica's mouth curved. "Where we host clients. A new campaign's being greenlit. We should celebrate, unless you're busy." "I'm not," Ash blurted. "I mean, I'll be there." "Good." Veronica turned away, leaving Ash with the ghost of her perfume and a voice ringing like a struck bell. At 6:04 p.m., Ash stepped onto level 28. She'd never been up there. The space was sleek and low-lit, dotted with modern art and soft seating. A long table commanded the center, 2 glasses of red already poured. Veronica stood at the window, phone in hand, blazer gone, sleeves rolled. Casual in a way Ash had never seen. Dangerous in a way she absolutely had. "You came," Veronica said without turning. "Wasn't sure you would. You invited me. That doesn't always guarantee a yes." Ash moved toward the table. "Told you, I'm not afraid of you." "You should be," Veronica said, finally facing her. "I'm not known for playing fair." "Is this a game?" Ash asked, voice lowered. "Only if you want it to be." Ash lifted a glass, fingertips tight on the stem to steady her hands. "What, exactly, are we celebrating?" "You," Veronica said. That presentation exceeded expectations. Clean. Sharp. Confident. "You sound surprised." "I rarely am," Veronica replied. "But you've made a habit of it." Ash sipped, letting the wine smooth her nerves. "So this is the reward. Recognition." For being bold, Veronica stepped closer. For not hiding. For saying what others wouldn't. Ash looked up. "You mean when I called you an idiot?" Veronica smiled. "Among other things." "I wasn't wrong." "No," Veronica said. "You weren't." Silence stretched, charged, humming. Neither moved. Then, eyes locked, Veronica reached past her for the second glass, closing the space 2 inches. Do you always say what you think, Ms. Moreno? Only when I'm not being careful. And are you being careful now? Ash's breath hitched. No, Veronica's gaze darkened. Good. Then she stepped back, just like that, resetting the room, dousing the spark. Let me show you the next campaign mock-ups, she said, crossing to the wall panel. Tell me what you think. Ash blinked, adrenaline still bright, and followed. The next hour blurred, slides and strategy, critique and counterpoint. And beneath all of it ran that other current, electric, unspoken, fed by glances, by pauses, by everything they didn't say. At 7:12, Veronica closed her laptop. We're done. So soon? The words slipped out. One arched brow. Something you'd like to add? Ash hesitated. Then what happens next? A beat. Another. Veronica stepped in again, close enough that Ash caught the warmth of her perfume. That depends, she said quietly. Are you asking as my employee or as the woman who called me pretty when she thought I wasn't listening? Ash's stomach flipped. Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. Veronica leaned in, lips near her ear, voice barely audible. Careful, Ashlyn. One of those answers changes everything. Then she turned and walked out, leaving Ash standing alone in the silence, one heartbeat away from crossing a line she wasn't sure she could ever uncross. The Monday after the presentation felt unreal. Ash had expected to feel lighter, proud even, but instead her chest was a knot of nerves, pulled tighter by every glance Veronica had given her that evening in the tasting room. The wine, the proximity, the words. One of those answers changes everything. She hadn't replied. Couldn't. Because if she'd said what she wanted to say, she would have had to face it. That she wanted Veronica badly, illogically, illegally, almost. And Veronica knew it. The way she looked at her like she already owned the pieces Ash was trying so hard to keep in place. Now it was morning. The sun was too bright, her coffee too strong, her inbox too full. And right there at the top sat the message from Veronica Hale. Subject confidential. Ashlyn, pack a bag. 2 nights presentation in Seattle. You're coming with me. The Ash stared at the screen. Her heart thudded. This couldn't be real. Travel with the CEO. Just the two of them. No one else had been copied, no assistant, no manager, just her. She read the email 5 more times before replying. On it, short, safe, lying, because nothing about this felt safe. Still, by Wednesday evening, Ash was at the airport boarding a late-night flight with Veronica beside her. Dressed down in black slacks and a silk blouse that still looked more expensive than Ash's entire wardrobe. They barely spoke on the flight. Ash tried to read, but every time Veronica shifted beside her, her body reacted like it was being touched. They arrived at the hotel close to midnight. A 5-star tower of glass and marble. Veronica barely glanced at the receptionist. Everything was prearranged. You're in the suite next to mine, she said, handing Ash a key card. Be ready at 8. Presentation's at 9 o'clock. Breakfast is optional. You don't eat breakfast? Ash asked, more to say something than anything else. Veronica's mouth curved. Rarely, but you look like someone who needs coffee before conversation. I need coffee before breathing. Then I'll have one sent up. Good night, Ashlyn. She disappeared into her room, door clicking shut like punctuation. Ash stood in the hallway for 3 whole minutes before unlocking her own door. The suite was huge, luxurious, too many mirrors. She showered, changed, got into bed, and didn't sleep. Every sound made her think of Veronica. A door creaking, water pipes, the quiet hum of HVAC. Her brain invented images. Veronica walking the hallway barefoot, unbuttoning her blouse, brushing her teeth, pulling her hair down. Ash rolled over, groaned into her pillow, and told herself to get a grip. Morning came too fast. At 7:59 a.m., there was a knock on her door. She opened it in a rush, still adjusting her blazer, and found Veronica holding a to-go tray with 2 lattes. You weren't kidding, Veronica said, handing one over. Extra shot. No sugar, just milk. I asked Celine what you usually order. You asked about my coffee order. I want to do functional, Veronica said. Not flatlining in front of the client. I'll take that as caring, Ash said, sipping. Do that. The ride to the venue was short. The meeting shorter. Ash crushed the presentation. Every slide landed. Every point hit. The client was impressed. And so was Veronica, if the nod she gave afterward meant anything. But it wasn't until they were alone in the town car on the way back that the air shifted again. "You looked confident today," Veronica said, her voice low. "I was terrified. You didn't show it. Are you always watching me that closely?" "Only when I want to be impressed." Ash looked over. Their eyes met. It lingered. Veronica's gaze dipped slightly, mouth, neck, shoulder, before returning to her face. "Have dinner with me tonight," she said. Not a question, not an order, something between. Ash's pulse spiked. "Is this part of the job? Does it need to be?" Ash hesitated. "What do you want it to be?" Veronica didn't answer, just smiled, slow and devastating. 7. Hotel restaurant. "Wear something you like." The door opened before Ash could respond. Back at the hotel, she stood in front of the mirror at 6:45 p.m. wearing a dress she'd packed last minute, never thinking she'd actually wear it. It was black, simple, but hugged her in all the right places. She looked good, maybe too good, or maybe not enough. She had no idea what Veronica would wear or what this was, but she was going. At 7:03, she walked into the restaurant and saw her. Veronica was already seated, wearing deep burgundy, hair down, lips matching the wine in her glass. She looked up and the smile that slid across her mouth made Ash nearly forget how to breathe. "You're late," Veronica said. "You said 7. It's 7:03. I like to keep people on edge." "You don't need help doing that." Ash sat across from her. Their knees almost touched. The waiter came. They ordered. And then it began. The flirting, the quiet tension. Veronica asked about her art. Ash asked how she became CEO. They laughed. Veronica drank slowly, her fingers wrapped around the stem of the glass like it was something alive. "Why did you bring me here?" Ash asked finally. Veronica didn't blink. "Because I wanted to see what you do when you weren't hiding behind work." "And what do you see?" "Someone dangerous," Veronica said. "Someone who doesn't realize how easy she is to watch." That sounds a lot like a confession. It might be. The check came. Veronica paid. Outside. The air was cool. Veronica didn't say goodbye. She walked to the elevator, pressed the button, and when the doors opened, she stepped in and held the door. "Coming?" Ash stared. 1 step. 2. She got in. Silence. Floor 12, 11, 10. The air crackled on 9. Veronica turned. "If you're going to stop this," she said, voice soft and dangerous. "This is the moment." Ash didn't move. "And if I don't," Veronica stepped closer. Their mouths were inches apart. "Then everything changes." The door opened on her floor. Veronica stepped out, turned, looked back. "Good night, Ashlyn." Then the door slid shut, leaving Ash inside, breathless, pulse pounding, her body on fire from something that hadn't even happened. By Monday morning, everything had changed. Except nothing had. Ash sat at her desk like always, fingers hovering over her keyboard. Trying to type, trying to think, trying to pretend that she hadn't spent the weekend replaying every second of that elevator ride. Every breath between her and Veronica, every almost that hadn't happened. Her body still carried the imprint of proximity, the heat, the unspoken promise in Veronica's voice. "If you're going to stop this, this is the moment." But Ash hadn't stopped it. She hadn't said no. She just trembled there, watching Veronica walk away as if she hadn't split the floor beneath them. And now they were back at work, back in daylight, where rules were supposed to hold. Only the rules didn't feel so solid anymore. Her phone buzzed. Slack. Veronica Hale 9:17 a.m. 10 a.m. East Conference Room. "Bring the mock-ups alone." Alone hit harder than it should. Ash sent a thumbs up and rose, grabbing her tablet, trying to steady the sprint of her pulse. The East Conference Room was usually empty this early, kept for late client dinners and board retreats, not quiet meetings that smelled like tension and unsaid things. Ash pushed the door open. Veronica was already there, back turned, phone in hand. Her hair was down, the ends softly curled, no jacket, just a deep green blouse that made her eyes look darker and her posture more dangerous. She turned as Ash stepped in. For a beat, neither spoke. "Close the door," Veronica said, voice clean as a cut. Ash did. The click sounded too loud. "I have the new versions," she said, moving to the table, her voice pitched too high, too careful. I stayed late, too. You didn't answer me, Veronica cut in. In Seattle. In the elevator. Ash blinked. You didn't answer the question. I don't remember a question. I said everything would change. And it did, Ash whispered. But you left. You didn't stop me. I didn't want to, she said, before she could catch it. Silence, sharp and waiting. Then Veronica moved, unhurried, deliberate, crossing the room with the kind of controlled grace that should be studied. She stopped a breath away. Do you want me to leave now? She asked, low. No, Ash said, throat tight. Louder. No, a beat. Veronica. Something flickered, small, dangerous, in Veronica's eyes. She lifted a hand, hovering at Ash's wrist without touching. This is reckless, she murmured. You know that. Then why are you still here? Because I want to know what it feels like to stop pretending. She kissed her, soft at first, testing, waiting. Ash didn't hesitate. Her hands found Veronica's blouse, fingers tangling, pulling her in as if gravity had finally stopped pretending, too. The kiss deepened, lost its precision, turned into something messy and real, mouths parting, breath catching, years of restraint melting into heat and motion. Ash backed into the table, Veronica pressing into her, one hand on her waist, the other braced against the surface beside them. They didn't speak. There were no words left for this. Only touch, only breath. Only the way Veronica made her feel like the room was too small for the air between them. And then the door opened. Neither of them had locked it. The sound of it broke the moment like a gunshot. They pulled apart instantly, breathless, flushed, caught. A voice gasped. Ash turned her head, heart stopping. Celine standing in the doorway, frozen, wide-eyed. Sorry, she said, voice too calm, too clipped. I didn't realize the room was occupied. Veronica's entire posture changed in an instant, straightening, smoothing, becoming CEO again with terrifying speed. Celine, I'll come back later. The door closed. The silence after was unbearable. Ash pulled away, smoothing her hair, trying to remember how to breathe. That's it, she whispered. We're done. We're so done. No, Veronica said, voice sharp. We are not, she saw us. She won't say anything. You don't know that. I do, Veronica insisted. Celine is loyal to you, Ash said. Not to me. That's silence again. Veronica stepped back. Do you regret it? Ash didn't answer. She couldn't. She felt too raw, too exposed. This can't happen again, Ash said. Not here. Not like this. Then where? I don't know. Ash snapped. Anywhere that doesn't ruin everything. Veronica looked at her for a long moment, something hard flickering behind her eyes. Then, with impossible calm, she nodded. Fine. And she walked out. Leaving Ash standing alone, lips still burning, chest still rising and falling like she'd just run a marathon she hadn't trained for. It had been 4 days since the kiss, and Ash hadn't seen Veronica once. Not in person, not on Zoom, not even passing in the hallways. It was like the woman had disappeared into a sleek, expensive cloud of avoidance, leaving Ash to unravel alone. And unravel she did slowly, painfully. At first, she told herself it was for the best. That silence was a mercy. But silence, it turned out, was only peaceful if your entire body wasn't vibrating with memory of a hand at your waist, a mouth on your skin, a breath that said, don't stop. Ash tried to bury herself in work. She submitted projects early. She stayed late. She smiled too brightly when Logan asked if she was okay and said things like just tired and crazy week. Like that explained the fact that she couldn't sleep and flinched every time her Slack pinged. And Celine was quiet, too quiet. She didn't bring Ash her usual budget forms. She didn't nod when they passed in the hallway. She didn't even fake a smile, which made Ash spiral faster. She couldn't shake the image of Celine's face in that doorway. Eyes wide, mouth slightly open. She saw it when she blinked. She dreamed about it. It haunted her like a warning. She couldn't interpret. And Veronica's absence, that was worse. It meant nothing or it meant everything. It meant she was protecting herself or it meant she was trying to erase it. And Ash had no idea which was worse. Then came the email. Thursday 3:12 p.m. No subject, no signature, just one line. You should be more careful where you kiss your boss. Ash froze. Her breath caught. She stared at the screen like it had betrayed her. Then read the line again and again. Her fingers hovered above the keyboard. Useless. She checked the sender. A burner Gmail. No name, no trace, no reply address. She clicked away from it, clicked back. It was still there. No, she whispered. No, no, no. Her phone buzzed. A Slack message from Veronica. Veronica Hale. 3:15 p.m. My office now. Ash's stomach dropped. Not because of the tone. It was always cold, but because of the timing. She didn't think. She stood. She walked past coworkers. Past curious eyes, straight to the private elevator she was technically never allowed to use. She arrived at Veronica's office with her heart in her throat and her guilt all over her skin. Celine wasn't at her desk. The lights were dimmed. Ash knocked once, then pushed the door open. Veronica stood by the window, back to her, hands clasped behind her. She didn't turn. Close the door. Ash. Did you get it too? She asked. Her voice cracked. The email. Veronica nodded once. Still didn't turn. Do you know who sent it? No, Ash said. Do you believe it was Celine? No, Veronica said quickly. Too quickly. She wouldn't. But she saw. And she's loyal. To you, Ash said. Not to me. Finally, Veronica turned. Her face was unreadable. Her voice too calm. I can handle this. What does that mean? It means this doesn't leave this room. It already did, Ash whispered. Someone knows and they won't be able to prove it. You're not hearing me, Ash said, stepping closer. Someone saw us. Someone's watching us. I can't. Do you trust me? Veronica interrupted. That silenced her. Veronica stepped forward, closing the space between them. Do you? I don't know, Ash said. I want to then do, Veronica said. Let me protect you. Protect me from what? From fallout? From scandal? From becoming the headline of a story you didn't write. Ash wanted to believe her. God, she wanted to, but there was a crack in her chest that no amount of power or money or whispered promises could seal. What happens if this gets out? She asked. You'll survive, Veronica said. But I won't. The admission was quiet, raw, shocking. Ash looked up. I built this company on precision control image. If people knew she didn't finish, she didn't have to. Ash felt something in her tighten twist. So, what do we do? We act normal, Veronica said. We don't text. We don't call. We work, we pretend. And the kiss, Ash asked. It didn't happen, Veronica said. Her voice was still, her face a mask. Not here. Not now. Ash felt like she'd been slapped. You kissed me and now I'm unking you. That's not how this works. It's how it has to work. So that's it. Ash said, voice breaking. You pretend it didn't happen and I go back to acting like you're just my boss. Yes. Ash shook her head. I can't do that. Then don't. What? Go home. Take a sick day. Leave early. Do whatever you need to do. But if you stay, you will keep it together. You will not fall apart in this office. Not over me. Too late. Ash said. She turned, walked out. Not fast. Not slow. Just steady enough to keep from crumbling. Back at her desk, the screen still glowed with that anonymous message. You should be more careful where you kiss your boss. She deleted it, emptied her trash, logged out, and still she felt watched, like someone was waiting for her to break. And maybe, just maybe, she already had. By Friday, Ash had mastered the art of pretending. She smiled when spoken to, laughed at the right moments, nodded in meetings. She submitted 2 projects ahead of schedule, reorganized a team board, and answered emails like nothing in her world was unraveling, but she didn't feel steady. Not really. Every time her inbox refreshed, her heart paused. Every time she walked past Celine, her shoulders stiffened. And every time she caught a glimpse of Veronica, even from across the room, even just her silhouette through the glass, something inside her twisted so sharply it almost made her gasp. They hadn't spoken since that day in Veronica's office. They hadn't touched. Veronica didn't even look at her now, not directly, but Ash could feel it. That weight, that ache, that awful gravity between them, trying to pull something broken back together. It would have been easier if she could hate her. But she didn't. She just missed her. Craved her. Wanted something she didn't know how to ask for without setting the whole building on fire. She told herself she'd survive it. Told herself it would pass. But then came the second email. Saturday 10:21 a.m. No subject, no name, just an attachment. Image underscore 00001 JPG. Her hands trembled as she clicked. It was them, the kiss. Blurry but unmistakable. Veronica's hand on her waist. Ash's fingers were still knotted in her blouse in the photo. The angle was low, tilted, shot through a sliver of the door. Her stomach lurched. Her skin went icy. This wasn't a warning. It was leverage. Beneath the image sat one line, "I wonder what the board would think of this." She stared for a full minute, then snapped her laptop shut and lurched to her feet so fast the chair skidded. The apartment felt too small, too silent. She grabbed her phone, keys, coat, needed air, motion, anything but the image searing her mind. The night was cold. She didn't feel it. She walked for blocks on autopilot, heart racing, thoughts spinning. Someone had seen. Someone had planned to see. This wasn't an accident, it was control. A set trap, waiting for the right moment to spring. Who would do it? Who hated them enough? Who stood to gain? None of it added up. Not yet. By the time she got home, her hands were numb and her phone showed 6 missed calls, all from Veronica. The last was a text, "We need to talk now." Ash didn't reply. She didn't know how. She drifted through the rest of the weekend in a fog, afraid to open her email, afraid of what else might be waiting. Monday arrived too soon. Her eyes burned from not sleeping. Her body ached from carrying too many secrets with nowhere to set them down. The first thing she saw at her desk was a note. Handwritten. Clean. Level 28, Conference C, 10 o'clock. No name, but it didn't need one. Veronica hadn't touched paper since 2019. Of course she would now, no trail. Ash walked in at 10:01. Sunlight poured through floor-to-ceiling glass, the city stretched below. Veronica stood at the window, arms folded, jaw set. When she turned, her face gave nothing away, but her eyes were storm-dark. "I got it too," she said, no preamble. "The photo." Ash nodded. "Could you trace the sender?" "No. Burner. Masked IP. Whoever it is knows what they're doing." "What do they want?" "Nothing yet." "So they're just watching," Veronica said. "Waiting. For what?" "For us to panic." Ash let out a brittle laugh. "Too late." Veronica stepped closer. "Don't," Ash said. "Don't say my name like that. Not when you won't even look at me in the hallway. I'm trying to protect you." "No, you're trying to protect yourself." "Is that so wrong?" Veronica's voice caught. "I built this company from nothing. I've spent years keeping every inch spotless. You think I can afford a scandal? Then why kiss me?" Ash snapped. "Why start something you knew you wouldn't finish?" Veronica didn't answer. The silence said enough. "You asked if I trusted you," Ash said. "I wanted to. I still do. But you don't trust me. You won't even fight for me." "That's not true." "Then prove it." For a moment, they just stared at each other. Two storms ready to collide. Then Veronica stepped forward, closer than she should. Her hand reached out, hesitated, then rested lightly on Ash's arm. "Let me fix this," she said. "I'll find out who it is. I'll end it before it starts. Just let me protect you." Ash looked down at her hand. It was warm, familiar, dangerous. "And then what?" she asked. "When the emails stop, when the photo's gone, we pretend again." "No," Veronica said. "Not this time." "Then what are we?" Veronica didn't speak, but her eyes said everything. Ash stepped back. "I need to work." "You need to let me in," Veronica said softly. "Not until you stop hiding," Ash replied. She walked out before Veronica could stop her. Back at her desk, her laptop pinged. A new email, no subject, no signature, just a new image. This time, it wasn't a photo. It was a draft email addressed to the entire board. Subject: Code of Conduct Violation. The body of the email was empty, but the meaning was clear. They were one click away from destruction. Ash didn't sleep again. This time, it wasn't about longing or guilt or the memory of Veronica's hands on her skin. It was the dread. The image of that unsent email sitting in her inbox, waiting like a loaded gun. One click away, one impulse, one spiteful move from someone who knew too much. And whoever it was, they weren't finished. They were playing a game. And Ash couldn't stand sitting back while someone else pulled the strings. So, she did what she did best. She worked. She analyzed. She hunted for patterns. The photo was taken from a low angle near the door hinge. That meant whoever took it had to be inside the building, had to know their meeting schedule, had to know which rooms were booked for what, and that narrowed it down. Celine had the calendar. So did two of the office assistants, the IT guy, the HR liaison. But only one of them had been acting different lately. Only one had stopped looking Ash in the eye. Only one had always been there, quietly taking notes, holding files, watching everything. Ariana. Ash didn't know much about her. Ariana worked directly under Veronica's assistant. Always quiet, efficient, invisible in the way that made you forget she was in the room, which made her the perfect observer. Monday afternoon, Ash waited until Ariana left her desk to accidentally drop a folder outside her office. When Ariana bent to help her pick it up, Ash offered a tight smile. "Thanks. You're always around when people need help." "It's part of the job," Ariana said, too neutral. "You must know everything about this place." "Not really." "I bet you do," Ash pushed. "Like, who books all the private rooms? Who has access to the internal meeting logs? Who sets up the AV equipment? Who knows when the doors don't quite close all the way?" Ariana's face didn't change, but her eyes did. Just a flicker. Just enough. Ash stood slowly. "If you ever want to talk," she said, voice calm. "You know where to find me." She didn't wait for a response. She walked away, pulse racing, heart thudding with something between fear and clarity. It might not be Ariana, but if it was, Ash would need more than suspicions. She needed proof. That night, she texted Logan. "Hey, weird question. You still have access to the camera logs from that day we had the power glitch?" Logan responded in less than a minute. "Sure. Why? Can you check who was on the level 28 that day around 10 a.m.? Just curious." Logan sent a thumbs up. 30 minutes later, he texted again. "Only 2 badges scanned in that morning on floor 8. Yours and Ariana Frost's." Ash stared at the message, ball rising in her throat. She knew it. She knew it. She didn't tell Veronica. Not yet. Not until she had something solid. Because if she was wrong, it would blow everything up. And if she was right, it might already be too late. The next morning, Veronica called her into a meeting. Real official. Other department heads were there. Celine was back at her desk. All business. Ariana walked past Ash with a perfectly practiced smile. And for a moment, Ash felt insane. Like she'd imagined it all, like none of this had ever happened. After the meeting, Veronica pulled her aside. "We're meeting a new client offsite this afternoon. Come with me." Ash blinked. "Why me?" "Because I trust you." The irony stung, but Ash said, yes. The meeting was in a sleek rooftop lounge downtown. Minimalist decor, expensive cocktails, private enough to talk, but public enough to pretend. They sat in a corner booth while the client droned on about branding synergy. Ash nodded, smiled, took notes she'd never read, and all the while, she could feel Veronica's presence beside her like a second heartbeat. Halfway through, Veronica leaned in, her voice low. "You're quiet." "I'm listening." "You're angry." "Should I not be?" "This isn't easy for me either," Veronica whispered. "Then why are you still hiding?" Veronica didn't answer. The client finally left. Drinks arrived. Ash didn't touch hers. "We're not going to make it through this," she said softly. "Not if you keep pretending I'm just another employee." "You're not," Veronica said. "You never were." "Then prove it." "How?" "Trust me," Ash said. "With the truth. With what you're really afraid of." Veronica's hand twitched on the table, but she didn't speak. Just looked at her like maybe, just maybe, she was about to finally say something that mattered, but then her phone buzzed. She glanced down. Her face went pale. "I have to go." "What?" "It's urgent, Veronica. We'll talk later." She stood, walked away again. Ash sat there, heart pounding, jaw tight. Back at the office, Logan met her near the elevators. "Got something?" he said, "You're going to want to see this." They ducked into an empty meeting room. Logan pulled up security logs. "Look." He showed her badge activity, security pings, timestamps. Ariana had not only been on the level 28 that morning, she'd accessed the shared server 15 minutes after Ash and Veronica's meeting ended. And 20 minutes later, the first email had been created. Ash stared at the screen. "It's her." Logan nodded. "I think so. I need to talk to Veronica." But when Ash went to find her, Celine blocked the way. She's in a private meeting. It's important. She's not available. Ash frowned. What kind of meeting? Celine didn't answer, but Ash heard voices behind the closed door. Familiar voices. Veronica's and Ariana's. Her blood ran cold. What is she doing in there? Celine looked away. Ash, she said quietly. Don't what? Don't go in. Why? Because she won't believe you if you walk in angry. Ash stepped back, breath shaky, hands trembling, and for the first time, she realized this wasn't just a threat anymore. This was betrayal, and it might already be happening behind that door. Ash paced outside Veronica's office for 20 minutes. Celine had returned to her desk, face unreadable, eyes not meeting hers. The closed door behind her was a wall Ash couldn't scale. And on the other side of it, Ariana, still inside, still talking to Veronica, still holding something Ash couldn't see. She clenched her fists. This was it. This was the moment everything shifted. She could feel it like the second before a storm breaks. Thick air, too still, too quiet. When the door finally opened, Ariana stepped out first, adjusting her blouse with a satisfied smirk. She didn't even flinch when her eyes met Ash's. She just smiled. That smug, careful, deliberate smile. Ashlyn, she said like nothing was wrong. Nice seeing you again. Then she walked away. Ash didn't wait. She stepped inside the office without knocking. Veronica was still standing by her desk, arms crossed, expression carved from marble. What was she doing in here? Ash demanded. Why was she alone with you? It was a professional matter, Veronica replied. Too flat, too fast. You didn't answer my messages, Ash said. I found proof. I know it was her. Logan pulled security data. Ariana accessed the servers. She was on the floor that day. I know. The words hit Ash like a slap. You what? I know it was her. How long? Veronica didn't answer. Ash stepped closer. How long have you known? 3 days. Veronica said quietly. And you didn't tell me because I was trying to control the damage. You were trying to control me. I was protecting you by talking to her behind my back. She came to me, Veronica said, voice rising. She brought the file. She threatened to leak everything. And she made it very clear what she wanted in exchange for silence. What did she want? A promotion, a raise, direct access to the board. Leverage, and you gave it to her, Ash asked, heart pounding. Veronica didn't speak. Her silence was enough. You gave in? Ash choked. You're letting her walk around here with power she stole. It was the only way to keep the photo out of circulation. Veronica said, jaw clenched. The board sees that and it's over for me. For us, for the company. You don't understand what I've built. You're right, Ash snapped. I don't understand how you can toss your integrity like that, how you can let her blackmail you and just live with it. It's not about integrity, Veronica said. It's about survival. Then maybe we want different things. Maybe we do. Silence again, this time it stung. Ash stepped back. You're not the woman I thought you were. And what woman is that? Someone who fights for what matters. I am fighting. No, Ash said. You're folding. Veronica's eyes flashed. Don't act like this is easy for me. Don't pretend I didn't risk everything for you. You kissed me, Ash shot back. You said you wanted more, and the second it got hard, you chose the safer option. You think I feel safe? Veronica's voice splintered. Every email, every glance, every whisper in this building could wipe me out. And you think I don't lie awake wondering if I've already lost everything because I couldn't stay away from you? Ash's throat tightened. Then don't lose me. Fix this with me. Not behind my back. Not with lies. It's too late, Veronica said. I've already made the deal. Ash stared. Then we're done. Don't, Veronica said quickly. Ash, no, if you won't stand beside me when it matters, I don't want this. You're angry. I'm heartbroken. Ash turned for the door. You think you saved everything, but you lost me. And she was gone. She left the building, ignored every ping, every call, every text Veronica sent. That night she lay on her back, staring at the ceiling, trying to understand how something so livewire had become silence, until her phone buzzed. No caller ID, just a line, are you ready to fight yet? Because she isn't. Ash's heart slammed. Another message, meet me tomorrow. 11 a.m. Atrium Cafe. I have more to show you. No name, but she didn't need one. It wasn't Ariana. It wasn't Veronica. It was someone else. Someone who wanted to torch the whole thing. And now they wanted her. She didn't sleep. The anonymous text haunted every minute, every tick, every attempt to convince herself it wasn't a trap. But she knew something had shifted. Whoever sent it wasn't Ariana. Ariana had already played her move: blackmail, power grab, done. This was different. This was chaos. She arrived early, ordered a coffee she barely touched, sat by the window with her heart punching at her ribs. 10:58, 10:59. 11 o'clock, a figure slid into the chair across from her. Ash blinked. Celine. Veronica's assistant offered a tired, almost gentle smile. She looked wrung out, older by 3 weeks than 3 years. "Hi, Ash." "It was you," Ash said, stunned. "Not all of it," Celine answered. "But some." "Why?" "Because you deserved the truth. Because I knew Veronica wouldn't give it to you. And because..." She paused. "I've been protecting her for too long." Ash stared. "I don't understand." Celine leaned in. "I've worked with Veronica for 9 years. I've seen her rise. I've seen her build this empire with blood and brilliance, but I've also seen what it cost her, what she sacrificed, who she became to keep it all." "So, you decided to tear it down?" "No," Celine said. "I decided to warn you about what?" Ariana wasn't working alone. Ash's breath caught. "What?" She was just the bait. The one willing to be obvious. The one Veronica would see, but the person behind her. The one who orchestrated it all. Celine hesitated. "It's someone on the board." "No." Ash whispered. "Yes. Someone who's been waiting for Veronica to make one mistake big enough to open a door. And you were that door. You think this is my fault?" "No," Celine said gently. "I think they used you. I think they knew how Veronica would react to you. That she wouldn't be able to resist. And when she fell, they were ready." "Who?" Ash asked. "Who on the board?" "If I knew that," Celine said, "I wouldn't be here like this." Ash sat back, cold creeping into her spine. "So what now?" "Now you decide. You can run, you can stay away, or you can go back and tell her what I just told you." "Why would I do that?" "Because she's still fighting," Celine said. "Even if it looks like she's not, she's trying to shield you from the fallout. She just doesn't know how to let herself be vulnerable. And you do. I know what fear looks like when it's wearing a $900 suit and pretending it's made of steel." Ash looked down. She let Ariana blackmail her. She didn't have a choice. "There's always a choice." "Is there?" Celine asked. "Would you have let her lose everything? Would you have watched her go down just to prove a point?" Ash's throat tightened. "I don't know anymore." Celine stood. "You do. That's why you're here." Ash didn't respond. She couldn't. She just sat there long after Celine left. The coffee cold in her hand. Her mind spinning. A board member, a setup, a trap. Veronica stuck in a game she couldn't see the edges of. That night, Ash stood outside Veronica's building for 20 minutes before finally buzzing up. No answer. She tried again. Still nothing. Finally, a message from Veronica. "Not a good time." Ash texted back. "I know about Ariana. I know it goes deeper." A pause. Then another message. "Come up." When Veronica opened the door, she looked wrecked. Her hair was pulled back too tight. Her blazer was wrinkled. There was a glass of something amber on the table half full. "You found out," she said. "Celine told me," Ash replied. "And I have proof Ariana wasn't working alone." "Who?" "I don't know. But they're close. Check your board." Veronica let out a bitter laugh. "I am the board." "Not all of it," Ash said. "You're the face." Ash stepped in. "You can't keep pretending this isn't happening." "I'm not," Veronica said. "I'm just trying to stay alive long enough to fix it." "Then let me help." "Why?" Veronica's voice was raw. "After everything I did, why are you here?" Ash looked at her, really looked, and felt every ounce of pain, power, and panic behind those exhausted eyes. "Because I still care. Because I still want you. And because I'm done running from this." Veronica exhaled. "You were never just another employee. And you were never just my boss." Silence stretched. Then Veronica stepped forward. "If we do this, there's no going back." "Good," Ash said. "Because I'm not going back." They kissed, not urgent, not forbidden, true, like something finally real. Before it could deepen, Veronica's phone rang. She ignored it. It rang again. And again. She answered. Her face drained. What? She breathed. The phone slipped from her hand. What is it? They leaked the photo, Veronica said. It's online. It's everywhere. Ash's blood went cold. What? We were too late, Veronica whispered. It's already started. It was everywhere. The second Ash opened Twitter, she saw it, a blurry but unmistakable shot of her and Veronica mid-kiss, mid-moment, frozen forever in pixelated infamy. The caption was blunt: CEO Veronica Hale caught in office romance with junior employee, followed by tags, hashtags, fire emojis, scandal threads. Then came the blogs, the gossip sites, the think pieces. By the next morning, the building hummed with a new, poisonous quiet, eyes tracking her every step. Logan wouldn't meet her gaze. Celine avoided her at the elevator. It felt like crossing a minefield in bare skin, and Veronica was nowhere. Her office door was sealed. Her name reduced to a rumor behind glass. At her desk, Ash opened her laptop, 42 emails, 17 media requests, 5 from HR, 1 from her landlord. She clicked HR first. Please report to conference room 3A at 10:30 a.m. for an internal compliance interview. Below it, the chill of corporate phrasing, breach of conduct, reputational risk, employee relations. Her hands shook as she closed the message. At 10:29, she stood outside 3A. Inside waited 2 strangers in suits, faces composed, pretending not to judge. They asked questions like knives, polite, precise, and cruel. How long had the relationship been going on? Was it consensual? Did she feel coerced? Did Veronica ever promise her advancement? Ash kept her answers short, clear, honest. But no matter what she said, she knew the truth didn't matter. The story was already written in headlines. She was the reckless employee. Veronica was the corrupt executive. And everything they tried to protect had already been burned to ash. When she was finally released, she walked to the elevator with her stomach in her throat. Her phone buzzed. A message. My office now, Veronica. She didn't hesitate. The door was already open when she arrived. Veronica stood by the window, looking smaller than Ash had ever seen her. No suit jacket, no heels, just a woman unraveling quietly behind tinted glass. Close the door, Veronica said. Ash did. They want me to resign, Veronica said without turning around. Effective immediately. Public statement. Clean break. Protect the company. Rebuild the image. Ash's chest tightened. What did you say? I said no. I told them I'd rather burn the place down than let them control my narrative. Ash stepped closer. And then what? And then they told me if I didn't comply, they'd make it worse. That they'd leak internal HR complaints. That they'd spin the story harder. That I'd lose my severance, my shares, everything. She turned then, eyes hollow. They've been waiting for this. Who? 2 members of the board. I know now. I have names. One of them pulled Ariana in. Promised her a promotion. Promised they'd protect her if she took us down. They never wanted to stop the scandal. They wanted it to explode. And it did, Ash whispered. Veronica nodded. They won. No, Ash said. Not yet, Ash. You can't give them what they want. Not after everything. You didn't fight this hard to be erased by cowards in expensive shoes. Veronica laughed, but it broke halfway. I'm tired. Then lean on me, Ash said. Let me help. You already have. Then let me keep doing it. Veronica stepped closer, reached out like she didn't trust her own hand. They're going to drag you through hell. They already are. You could still walk away. Save yourself. I'm already in this, Ash said. And I'm not leaving you alone in it. Why? Because I love you, Ash said. The words felt like fire and freedom. And I'm done pretending that I don't. Veronica froze. Her breath hitched. Her eyes flickered. Shock, fear, wonder, all layered in glass. Say it again. I love you. You're insane. So are you. Do it with me, Veronica said suddenly. A joint statement. No apologies, no shame, just the truth. We didn't break rules. We fell in love. And if they want to destroy us for it, let them try. Are you sure? I'm sure of you, Veronica said. Ash smiled through the panic. Then let's give them a headline they'll never forget. That afternoon, they drafted the statement together. They wrote every word as a choice. No apologies, no denials, just honesty, respect, and love. At 5:30 p.m., it went live. Press release, socials, email blast, a photo of them, not the leaked one, but a new one taken minutes before. Ash and Veronica standing side by side, hands barely touching. Two women at the edge of a war, and they'd chosen to stand together. By 6:12 p.m., the board issued an internal response. An emergency meeting will be held tomorrow at 9 a.m. to determine appropriate action regarding this matter. By 7:04, Ash's email locked her out. By 7:06, her phone lost access to company systems. Veronica too, they were out, cut off, quietly, crewy, without a single word of thanks for the years she bled into the building's bones. But as they sat together in Ash's apartment that night on the floor eating takeout, legs touching, Veronica said something that made all of it worth it. They took everything. Not everything, Ash whispered. Veronica looked at her and her face, God, her face, wasn't cold anymore. It was full of grief and gratitude and the kind of love that doesn't have to be said to be known. Tomorrow, Ash said. We fight together, Veronica said. But even then, as they curled into each other like a fortress of two, Ash knew tomorrow would break something. She just didn't know what. They didn't sleep. Not because they didn't want to, but because sleep required peace. And there was none. Not after the statement. Not after the shutdown. Not after the looks on the street, in the lobby, online, everywhere. The world had opinions now, and none of them knew the full story. Veronica had spent her entire career controlling narratives, and now she was the narrative. Twisted, broken, sensationalized. Ash didn't let go of her hand the entire night. By morning, the board meeting was underway. They weren't invited, of course, but that didn't stop the whispers from reaching them. Veronica's assistant, Celine, showed up at Ash's apartment at 10:13 a.m., her coat soaked in rain, eyes dark with urgency. They're voting, she said. Now, Ash asked. Yes. They're moving fast. They want her erased. They want to install interim leadership and spin the story before the media gets too wild. Too late, Veronica murmured from the kitchen, holding her coffee like armor. They're already drowning. Celine stepped forward. There might be one way to stop it. To flip the narrative completely. Veronica arched an eyebrow. Unless you've got a secret recording of the chairman plotting my downfall, I'm not interested in long shots. Celine hesitated. I don't have that, but I know someone who might. That got their attention. Who? Ash asked. Her name's Nora Keene. She's on the legal team. Quiet. Brilliant. She's been sitting on something for months. Financial discrepancies, unauthorized bonuses, corporate votes that weren't properly recorded. She tried to bring it up to the board last quarter. They shut her down. Let me guess, Veronica said. She vanished into a strategic transition role and hasn't been heard from since. Exactly. But I kept in touch, and when she saw what happened with you two, she reached out. Why now? Ash asked. Because now she has leverage, Celine said. If you two go public with what she found, real corruption, embezzlement, manipulation, then suddenly the Kiss scandal doesn't matter anymore. Suddenly they're the story. You flip the power, and Nora just wants to do this out of the kindness of her heart. Veronica asked, skeptical. Celine hesitated. Not exactly. She has conditions. Of course she does. She wants to be reinstated. VP level with full immunity. She wants her name cleared, her file scrubbed, and a written apology from the board. Reasonable, Ash said. And Celine glanced at Veronica, then at Ash. She also wants you, she said softly, to step away. Ash blinked. Me? Not permanently, but for now. Nora thinks that as long as you two are still a thing, the board has a distraction. They can spin it, twist it. If you disappear, at least publicly, it gives Nora's evidence room to breathe, room to be taken seriously. So I'm the sacrifice, Ash said. You become the silence that makes them listen, Celine corrected. Veronica stepped in. No, she repeated, harder. We're not playing their game. Not like that. Not again. It isn't their game anymore, Celine said. It's ours, if we're smart. Ash looked to Veronica. She's right. This might be the only way to shift the spotlight. You think I care about the spotlight? I think you care about your legacy, your name, the company you built. Veronica's jaw tightened. Not more than I care about you. Then trust me to do this. And if I lose you? You won't, Ash said more softly. You'll just have to miss me for a while. I've missed you before. I hated it. So did I, Ash whispered. But this time we do it for something bigger than us. Celine cleared her throat. She's waiting, Nora. She wants to meet both of you. Neutral site. 1 hour. Veronica stayed taut, but nodded. Where? Harbor District. Private firm. Room secure. No recordings. No trace. Let's go, Ash said. The drive passed in quiet. The city slipped by the windows like a memory they couldn't hold. Veronica never let go of Ash's hand. Not once. Nora Keene was exactly as Celine had described, composed, razor-edged, exhausted. She fanned out documents, charts, internal memos. It was worse than they'd guessed: falsified board approvals, shadow payments, attempts to reroute company funds into dummy charities tied to 2 board members' relatives. If this goes public, Nora said, it will crack the company open, and they'll come for you. They will, Veronica said. Unless you protect me. You'll have it, Veronica added. Whatever you need. Then you'll also accept the final condition, Nora said, looking straight at Ash. Ash drew a breath. I will, for now. And the relationship goes on hold, Nora said quietly. Ash nodded. Then we start tonight. Afterward, Ash and Veronica stood outside in a light drizzle beneath a slate sky that matched everything. I hate this, Veronica said. So do I, Ash whispered. But if it works, when it works, Veronica corrected. We take it all back, Ash said. Together. Always, Veronica promised, and kissed her, quick, desperate, like a goodbye they refused to name. That night, Nora sent the first packet to a major reporter. The headline was cued for morning. And Ash slipped out of the city, quietly. No social media, no press, no trace, just silence. As agreed. But she left Veronica with a note folded, handwritten, 1 line. I'll be back when the truth is louder than the noise. The story hit like a bomb. By 7:12 a.m., the article was live. Exclusive: corruption allegations shake Hale Industries. Screenshots of financial records, anonymous sources, legal analysis. Nora had done her homework. She hadn't just cracked the door open. She'd ripped it off the hinges. Within an hour, the stock dropped. By noon, 2 board members had temporarily stepped down. By 3, every news outlet in the city had reporters camped outside headquarters. For the first time in weeks, the kiss wasn't the headline. But Veronica was still the face. The press didn't care about nuance. They cared about the photo, the scandal, the downfall. The woman who had built an empire was now a symbol of its collapse. And she stood in the middle of it, head held high, back straight, every inch the CEO. She refused to stop being inside. Though she was cracking, she felt it with every email. She wasn't copied on, every meeting she wasn't invited to, every whisper that stopped when she walked into a room. The board had called an emergency hearing behind closed doors. No lawyers, no allies, just her. She entered the conference hall at 5 p.m. sharp, dressed in black like armor. The long table stretched before her, lined with faces she once thought of as colleagues. Now they were predators circling. Miss Hale, the chairman began, voice syrupy with false courtesy. You understand why we're here. I understand that 2 of you have been funneling money into illegal channels, Veronica said flatly. And I understand that your attempt to silence me with a scandal just backfired. A murmur rippled around the table. The chairman smiled thinly. Strong words, but unverified. And while the press runs wild with rumors, our duty is to this company, to its stability, to its shareholders, not to your personal indiscretions. He slid a printed photo across the table. The kiss again. Care to explain? Veronica didn't even look at it. No. It's exactly what it looks like. 2 adults, private, consensual, nothing more, nothing less. If you think that's grounds for dismissal, you're not only out of touch, you're desperate. You've compromised the image of this company. No, Veronica snapped. You did with your greed, with your lies. I've spent my life holding this empire together, and now you want to scapegoat me because you can't control the narrative anymore. The room went quiet. The chairman leaned back, steepling his fingers. Careful, Veronica. The higher you climb, the harder the fall. Then let me fall on my own terms, she shot back. The silence stretched. Finally, one of the quieter members cleared her throat. We have a motion to vote. Effective termination of Veronica Hale as Chief Executive Officer pending further investigation into conduct and financial oversight. Seconded, another said, hands raised. One after another. 1 2 3 5 7 too many. Veronica's chest tightened, her world tilted. And yet she smiled. Cold, dangerous, unbroken. Congratulations, she said. You've just declared war. She stood, gathering her papers. The chairman's voice followed her. You'll be escorted out. Try, Veronica said, walking out on her own terms. Outside the chamber, Celine was waiting. Pale, shaken. It's done. They think it is, Veronica said. Celine swallowed. What now? Veronica glanced toward the windows where cameras flashed from the street below, journalists shouting her name, and she thought of Ash, of the note she'd left, of the promise written in her hand. I'll be back when the truth is louder than the noise. Veronica's jaw set. Now we fight louder. She pushed open the doors. The press swarmed, microphones shoved in her face. Miss Hale, are you resigning? Is it true you abused your power? Are you stepping down permanently? Veronica raised her hand. Silence rippled. She looked straight into the cameras, her voice steady as a blade. I will not be resigning. I will not be silenced. I built this company with vision and integrity. And I will not let it be torn apart by corruption hiding behind closed doors. You want a headline? Here it is. I'm not done. The crowd roared. Questions flew. Security pushed forward, but it didn't matter. For the first time, the noise wasn't drowning her. She was drowning it. And somewhere far away, Ash would see it, would hear it, would know Veronica was still fighting for herself, for the company, for them. That night, as Veronica sat in her apartment alone, her phone buzz. A new message, no name, just one line. If you keep this up, you won't survive it. And neither will she. Attached a photo of Ash taken that morning, walking alone through the subway, unaware she was being watched. The photo of Ash haunted Veronica all night. It wasn't just a threat. It was proof. Proof that whoever they were fighting wasn't just playing with emails and boardrooms. They were watching, following, hunting. And they knew Ash was the weak spot. The one place Veronica could never armor herself. By morning, she'd made a decision. No more silence. No more playing on defense. If the board wanted a war, she would give them one. Not behind doors, not in whispered meetings, but in front of everyone. She called a press conference for noon. No company approval, no legal filter, just her standing in front of the building she built. At 11:48, she stood at the podium, cameras flashing like lightning, microphones like a forest around her. The city buzzed. The internet streamed. The world watched. You've heard the rumors, she began. Her voice was calm, steady. A storm held in glass. You've seen the headlines, and you've seen the photo. A ripple of movement, phones raised higher, eyes sharper. So, here's the truth. Yes, I fell in love with someone I work with. Yes, I kissed her. Yes, she changed my life. But no, I did not abuse my power. No, I did not coerce her. No, I did not compromise this company for personal gain. The only people who compromise this company are the very ones who are now trying to destroy me. Gasps, murmurs, the chairman's name, another's. She named them. She said the words the board thought she'd never dare. They funneled money into illegal accounts. They silenced whistleblowers. They buried reports. And when the walls began to close in, they looked for a distraction. They found one in me, in her, in us. Her voice softened then, only slightly. Her name is Ash Moreno. She is brilliant and brave and dangerous in the way true artists are. And if you think you can use her to hurt me, you're wrong. Because she's not my weakness. She's my strength, and she is not going to disappear for your convenience. The crowd erupted. Questions flew, but Veronica didn't answer. She stepped back, leaving the words to burn. When she turned, Ash was there at the edge of the crowd. She didn't know how she knew, but she did. Ash pushed through, eyes wide, face pale, but determined. And when she reached the podium, she took Veronica's hand. Cameras exploded. The world tilted, but Ash didn't let go. I told you I'd come back when the truth was louder than the noise, Ash whispered. Veronica's throat tightened. And I heard you. The crowd roared louder, the sound like thunder. But for a moment, there was only them together. That evening, the fallout began. Nora's documents spread like wildfire. Investigations opened. The two corrupt board members resigned permanently, fleeing into the shadows of their own greed. The media, once rabid for scandal, turned its teeth toward corruption, chasing the bigger story. And Veronica, though technically stripped of her title, became something more dangerous. A symbol, a fighter, a leader who refused to be silenced. Ash faced her own storm. HR tried to push her out quietly, but the public wasn't having it. Hashtag trended. Hashtag Standu with Ash. Hashtag Hail A Moreno. People saw them for what they were. Two women who dared to exist, to love, in a place that wanted to erase them. Weeks passed. Investigations deepened. The company restructured, but through it all, they stayed together. They weathered press scrums, hearings, and the low hiss of rumors. They fought their battles in boardrooms and bedrooms, shoulder to shoulder. And for the first time, Veronica let someone witness her break, let someone hold her when the armor split. Ash became more than the woman with the hot mic. She became the reason Veronica remembered why she fought at all. The night the final report dropped, clearing Veronica of wrongdoing and laying the board's crimes bare, they stood on Ash's rooftop, staring out at the city that had nearly swallowed them. "We won," Ash said softly. "We survived." "We did more than survive," Veronica answered, turning to cradle Ash's face. "We changed everything." Ash smiled. "Even us." "Especially us," Veronica said, and kissed her, slow, certain. No cameras. No board. No war. Just them. For the first time in months, it wasn't dangerous or forbidden. It was simply love, loud, bright, impossible to mute. Whatever came next, they'd meet it together. Always together. If this resonated and you'd like to support the channel in a special way, tap the thanks button below, the heart with the $sign. Your super thanks helps me keep creating videos you love.